Well, hello everybody. I'm here at the Darkness, and we're going to talk a little bit more today about the renovations that we're doing. As you start to do renovations, they start to take on a life of their own, and by the way, they get much more expensive. But we're also going to talk today about how much you should spend to renovate your haunted house. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to use my camera phone as a little bit of a light, and I'm going to give you a better idea of like what we're trying to do here at the Darkness and why you want to come to our haunt tour and see it. Now, let me come back here for 1 minute. So this is the entrance to the slaughterhouse. Hold on, let me switch it around. And you can't really tell, right? So we're building a facade here. It's mostly going to be covering this brick wall right here, and it's going to have a marquee. It's going to say the name of the attraction, and again, it's going to have like a marquee and lighting and all kinds of other stuff. So that's the first thing we're doing. Now, as we move in, and I'm going to come over here to the new scene we're building. One of the first things you'll notice is when you walk into this first room, check this out, there's lights that flicker, and you'll see some theming leading into the new room that we're building. Now, I'm gonna see if we can see this without me putting on lights. Okay, first off, that's an animation. I had to put a light on it. All right, hold on. So you can see that right off the bat. It's starting to get all set up. Hold on, what is going on here? Let me fix this camera. All right, there we go. So this is an actor scare right there. This is an animation right there. And you can see we've been adding theming. Now there's going to be dead bodies hanging in both of these and water coming down, and they'll be recirculating from there. Now when you walk into the room, you're going to notice too that there's all the lighting is programmed. You walk under these barrels, and there the CGI is in place. Now, it's hard for me to explain everything that's going on here, but one of the things we did add is there's an actor scare. It has audio, but it's just not turned on. You see that light right up there? It also has an air piston on it that shakes it back and forth. There's a fog effect in here where it blows fog into your face. Also, it's going to have sound effects that trigger as well. It's going to have recirculating water from the fountain. Plus, it's going to be an animation hanging right here. But the whole entire room is programmed to go off. Now, you're not going to see it programmed to go off right now because it's not plugged in. It's actually unplugged. But you can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So, give me 1 second here. I gotta unplug this. Whoop. Hold on. Oh, I can't do it with one hand. So, let me get out of here so I can talk to you better. And we're going to discuss what's going on. So, this haunt tour that we're going to have here at the Darkness, as I was saying, It is going to be, the renovation itself is a lot more complex than when we first started out. The other thing that we've been doing is we've been re-theming a hallway. We're adding all kinds of special effects in there as well. We've added several air cannons. And you know, after that new scene we're building, when you walk out, there's like a bell that goes off that's actually really scary. So this new haunted house that we built here at the Darkness last year, and I've kind of explained this before in another video, we had a very limited time to work on it from Transworld, from the time that we actually could get TerrorVisions out, which wasn't until the first of the year in January. So we had roughly 6 weeks to rebuild the maze, put all new electric in and everything else. So we didn't have a lot of time to say build scenes. So we built them as fast as we humanly possibly could. And that's what we did. Now, do I love all the scenes? No, I don't. And I don't think there's any one thing in there that's what I would call super special, okay? But I would say that an amazing job was done for such a short period of time, okay? So now what we're trying to do is we're trying to go back through and make it better. We're trying to like improve the scenes. We're trying to add some special effects. We're trying to make it more like the rest of the Darkness, you know, like high-end, cool stuff to look at, very special effect oriented. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. And so when you come on the tour this year, the very first thing you're going to notice when you go through the slaughterhouse that we did last year, the first thing you're going to notice is that it looks much different. And that's because our main focus at the moment is to do nothing but work on that specific haunt. Because what you have to also understand is we're opening on February the 13th for My Bloody Valentine. We do one night only. And we have to get the haunt open for that day. That's why we're doing one thing at a time. Not 2 things, not 5 things. We're doing one thing at a time. And I should take that back because we are gutting the Frankenstein scene, which is totally fine that we're gutting the Frankenstein scene because the upstairs here is almost done. So sometime probably as you're watching this video, the whole upstairs will be done. We'll be waiting for a couple animations, a couple props to come in, but otherwise it'll be completely done by the end of tomorrow or definitely by Friday. And so everything that's being done in the brand new slaughterhouse will be finished by the end of this week. So then it's on to this Frankenstein scene. Now, this Frankenstein scene has evolved to some degree. And one of the things you're going to notice here is that snake facade has been moved to right here. And it actually looks really cool. Now, we did decide we have to take this out. But here's the snake. He's been moved, and he is in a new location. And this makes sense because there's a snake animation in that room. So it perfectly goes well there. Now, if you come over here, you're going to notice that right here, when you walked up right there, there was a big giant rattlesnake that jumped out of there. And now he's been moved over here. So now there'll be an animation that when there was not one before. And you can see the werewolf has been moved up there. You can see a couple werewolves, in fact. Okay, so as far as Frankenstein, we have a really good plan now. So everything you see here, I know it looks real junky. It's real junky. Okay, so the first thing we're going to build is this area here. And we have a great plan. Okay, we're going to keep this. We're going to make a marquee for it up there. We're going to do corbels, and we're going to put gargoyles on both sides. We'll frame that in with some vacuum form and make it look like it's wrapped in steel to look great. It's really simple. But this wall here is actually being built out like a castle. It'll have a sign that says Dr. Frankenstein, and it's getting the whole shebang. So when you walk up the ramp, you'll kind of see this, and you'll turn around and you will see a castle. And it's going to be really, really beautiful. And so one of the things that we decided in here, as you can see, everything is torn out. Everything, except for this guy. And this is going to go. The ceiling is going to go. Everything in here has got to go. And we decided today that we're not going to use his shoulders, because we're going to try to get him as far over as we possibly can, so we have more room to like build out the scene. Now, if I'm going to describe the scene to you, I'm only going to tell you that this particular scene is going to take a few weeks to build, and it's going to be the most elaborate scene that I hope when it's all done, it'll be the most elaborate scene in the entire Darkness Haunted House. So you're going to, and let me just try to describe it to you, okay? So there's going to be a very, very elaborate facade right here. You're going to walk in, okay? Then right here will be like a table with a corpse on it. You're going to walk over here around this. There's going to be electric, like machines that are powering him right here. And you'll see that. You'll come here and you'll walk right underneath like a monster that's going to be raised out of the castle to get, electrocuted, to raise him, back to life. This wall right here will be Dr. Frankenstein's shelves in his library. Okay, then you're going to see Frankenstein himself. Okay, now what we've decided to do is tear out all of this as well. So all of this is going to get torn out, and then this will become an extension of the Frankenstein scene, and it will be the bride of Frankenstein. And what we're going to do here is, you see this beam, we're going to build off this beam and go straight up, and then make like an archway that'll connect to another beam over there, and then we'll have it kind of broken in the middle. So it'll be an arch and an arch coming up the other way with a break in the middle. It'll be really elaborate. And then in between will be a table. Okay. So hopefully I'm helping you understand what we're trying to do. So before I get into what I was going to talk about, the renovation of the Darkness, this is exactly what you're going to get. And I also want to mention that as of today, the tickets are on sale at darkness.fearticket.com. So if you want to come, you can get the tickets. Now, and by the way, we've been running CNC machines. You see, we're cutting windows over here. And if we go to the CNC machine, if I come over here, you can see lots and lots of stuff is getting cut out. Windows, everything you can think of. And so anyway, this is what the haunt tour is going to include. On Thursday, it's going to be a behind the scenes tour that's going to allow you to come to the haunted house, go through with no fog, take as many pictures and photos as you want. That new Frankenstein scene, let me tell you, it's going to have multiple animatronics, tons of lighting effects, tons of special effects, lots of CGI effects, and they're going to be everywhere. And when you walk into the room, the goal is for an awe moment, like this is really, really insane. It's really cool. And hopefully, we get the desired effect that, it's going to hopefully feel like, you went to see a Disney attraction or something like that. And so when you walk in the room, the whole room will trigger and everything will be programmed, from the lighting to the sound, to the animations. So that is a really big addition, taking Frankenstein now even into another room to fit the Bride of Frankenstein. Okay? So that's one of the things we're doing. And as I already explained, another thing is our secret bar, our horror bar, is probably my favorite place in the whole haunted house now. Used to be the retail store, now it's the bar. You taking off there, Adam? Yeah. And so that will be available to anyone who comes to the behind the scenes tour on Thursday. Anybody can walk in there, take a look at it. By the way, it's like 4 in the morning. And so that was built last year after Transworld, but it's done now. Also, one of the things that we did to the darkness last year after the season was over is we went into multiple rooms, maybe as many as 4 or 5, and we programmed the rooms with like lighting effects, sound effects. Everything was programmed. So nobody's seen any of that. So for new scenes, new special effects, we have stuff coming from Unit 70. We have stuff coming from Never Mortis. We have stuff coming from Poison Props. We have new masks coming from Immortal Masks. And then we just have a whole bunch of stuff that was left over that we weren't using, such as from Distortions, we have a shake and bake electric chair. That's going in the the slaughterhouse. So for the slaughterhouse, it's going to actually have a facade. There's like a long hallway. It was completely taken apart, and it's being themed better, and it'll be set up better. The lead up to the new scene that we're building in there, we enhanced the first room before it, built the whole room itself from scratch, and then the room after it, we did the same thing. We also plan on retheming the tunnel. The goal is, like, when you walk through it, hopefully it's more coherent, that, oh yeah, I see, now I get it, it's a slaughterhouse. And so hopefully we achieve that, and you can kind of like see with very little effort, we were able to spend more time and make the whole attraction more coherent and more themed and add a lot of special effects. So that's what's happening, okay? That's what's going on. And then we also ordered a lot of stuff to replace old and tired equipment. And hopefully all that gets in before Transworld. So we'll see. The other thing that we're doing, and I forgot to mention this in the last video, is our queue line. The queue line for the darkness. We plan on having a light show in there. And so there's going to be like lights moving around, beaming around, and we're going to program a light show in there. So that's being done as well. So I want to mention, before I start talking about some other things, on Thursday, March the 26th, I think I got that right, we're doing a behind-the-scenes tour. It's limited to the first 275 people. We are doing a seminar. We have a special guest, which will be announced later. This is a really cool guest, by the way. And then people will get to go into the haunted house. They'll be able to go into our actors room. They'll be able to like go through our horror museum, our horror gift shop, all three haunts, because technically you got the first floor of the darkness, the second floor of the darkness, and then you got the new haunt. You can walk in our 5-minute escape, the whole shebang. You can do all of it. And you can take photos, videos, ask any questions about anything. So that's on Thursday, okay? Then on Friday and Saturday, it's the same event. It's going to start at 6:45 and run till 9:15. So there's 5 slots to buy tickets. There's 6:45, 7:15, 7:45, 8:15, 8:45. This is the last slot, and then everybody should be gone by 9:15. So there's only 5 slots, 100 people per slot. Now, you're also able to buy the horror secret bar experience, which is a little bit more. But what that does is you buy into one of those slots. When you show up, you get to go in immediately, And then halfway through, you get to go in the secret bar. You get free beverage. You get to hang out in the secret bar, as long as you want, while we're open. And then when you're ready to go back in the haunt, we put you back into the haunted house, and then you finish the attraction. So there's only 20 of those spots available per 30 minutes. So only 20. So it's 100 people total. So the tickets are going to go on sale. And I want to remind everybody that the ticket prices will raise on March the 1st. So you got to buy the tickets between now and March the 1st. And then after March the 1st, the ticket prices go up. You can get the tickets at darkness.fearticket.com. Okay, did I cover everything? And then I guess one last thing, and I already covered this in the last video, so I won't beat a dead horse, but I am planning on this being our last haunt tour that we do. That doesn't mean that in the future we won't do one, but I'm not going to be doing one in 2027. I have other plans. I might be moving possibly to Florida. I don't want to be in St. Louis in the winter. I need a break from all this. I am going to speak to Transworld and see if they want to rent the Darkness, so then they could host their own event, but there'd be no changes, no anything. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to rent it to Transworld. Doesn't mean anything. I'm telling you, there will not be a haunt tour in 2027. I'm like 98.4% positive that I will not be doing it because I don't want to. So, and by the way, there's a lot of reasons I don't want to, and I've covered some of them. But, I have, some mental issues every once in a while. I have anxiety and sometimes depression and everything else. And I just want to, get out of here. I want to get out of St. Louis. I don't want to be glued to St. Louis all winter long. I want to be able to do what I want, okay? And it's a lot of work to do these haunt tours. It's a lot of work, and you have to be here. You have to be here the whole time. And I can tell you that, and the people who are here helping and working, I told them today, I just told them, I really don't want to be here. I don't have the heart for it. But when it comes to this Frankenstein, I'm going to be here. I'm going to put my heart and soul into it. And then after that, I'm going to do something like I talked about in the last video. I'm going to do little renovations to the Darkness by just buying stuff like most people. And I'll be buying stuff, and I'll just enhance a little here and there, and I'll go down to a more reasonable level. And what I mean by a reasonable level is, how much money should you actually spend to renovate your haunted house from one year to the next? Well, if you're trying to create a budget, and I'm going by the number of $1 million, what is a reasonable number to improve your haunted house? Well, when you think about advertising, if you're making $1 million, your labor could be 15 to 20%, probably 20%, probably. Your marketing is probably going to be 10 to 15%. If you rent your building, or if you pay insurance and property taxes and workers' comp, you climb up to that 50% really quick, okay? By adding in, let's say, 10% for renovations. So that'd be $100,000, okay? That's a lot of money. If you're making $1 million, you spend 10% to improve your haunt. Over a decade, that means you would have spent $1 million. And think about when you go to Transworld, as an example, if only you bought stuff from Transworld, how much stuff is $1 million? It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So if I spend $50,000, now you're talking 5%. I think the right number is somewhere between 5 and 10% of your gross would be a good number to renovate your haunt year over year. Now, I would say there's a few exceptions, okay? Here's one of the exceptions. If you're going to do something and it's going to be costly to you, but it's going to create more revenue. For example, you're going to buy a food truck. Okay, well, hopefully the food truck pays for itself, because I'm going to buy the food truck and I'm going to start selling food. I'm going to build 5-minute escape rooms. I'm going to build a zombie paintball arena. Okay, I'm going to build an attraction that's going to be upcharged. Okay, then I think it's totally warranted to spend over the 5 to 10%. Totally warranted, because you're going to create a new attraction from scratch, and on top of that, hopefully it's going to generate additional revenue. You're going to build a big retail store. If you build a retail store, it's not that costly to build the retail store, but it is costly to stock it. So you could easily spend $150,000 to stock and build your horror retail store. So with the additions to the haunt, plus like say adding the horror retail store, you could be looking at 20 to 25% of your gross. Now, hopefully that new attraction generates a lot of that money coming back. Even if it doesn't pay for itself completely in the first year, that's perfectly fine. But it should bring in revenue, will offset and bring the 20%. Maybe it brings it down to 15%. You can live with that. But I can tell you right now, you do not want to be spending what I'm spending. So if the darkness does $1 million, which that's not what it does, but it's in the ballpark, okay? But I'm using $1 million to keep everything nice and round, okay? But if you do $1 million and you spend 100 or say 80 on your renovations or buying new masks, new makeup, new costumes, new animatronics, building a new set or scene or whatever, I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, because you have marketing costs, you have insurance, and you have rent, or you're paying a mortgage for whatever building you bought. In a very rare cases, maybe you own your building. You have labor to run your haunted house, security, you have taxes, and don't forget, whatever you net profit, you got to pay federal taxes, and you have to pay some state and some local, regional, city, whatever. So you do not want to be spending over 10%. Now, how much am I spending? On $1 million, I would be somewhere in the 30% range, which is totally crazy. Now, if I sell 100,000 tickets to my haunt tour, well, that would bring the percentage that I'm doing down to 20%, which is still way too much, okay? You know what a lot of people in this industry have a serious problem with? And I'll tell you why you have a serious problem with it, because, and I hate to keep ranting on like Haunters Hangout. I shouldn't even talk about Haunters Hangout because I'm not a member of Haunters Hangout. So I don't know what goes on there, to be honest with you. And I'm sure a lot of great things go on there. But when you have 50,000 people on Haunters Hangout, I don't know how many is on there. I haven't ever been on. But when you have 50,000 people on Haunters Hangout, for example, what percentage of those people do you think actually own or make a living from working a haunted house? Meaning like, I'm the manager of a haunted house and my kids' food on the table, their health insurance, whatever comes from me working at this haunt. What percentage of Haunters Hangout do you think can say that? Well, I can tell you what it would be. It would probably be less than 5%. Okay? Less than 5%. So what you have on there is a lot of actors, scenic painters, special effects somebody or another. You're going to have a lot of home haunters. You're going to have a lot of actors, You're gonna have a lot of just enthusiasts, but you're not gonna have people who are literally hawking everything they have to build a haunted house. So it's when you broach a subject like should we run our haunted house with volunteer actors? Well, you're going to find a lot of people who don't like you very much for suggesting that. Why? Because there's a lot of actors in the group who feel not only should they be paid, but they should be paid 3 or 4 times what they're being paid. Now, I'm not going to agree with that at all. And yeah, there's going to be actors who say, yeah, that's because you're a greedy haunt owner and you don't care about your actors and this and that. This is what they're going to say. Well, they're all full of crap, is what they are. Okay? Because they don't understand the financial dynamics of running a haunted house. I would say that the mass majority of haunts, probably over 80%, are all charity based, and all the actors are volunteer. All of them. Okay? So when we talk about should actors get paid or not, let's remember that the mass majority of every haunt in the United States that will operate in this haunt season will have volunteer actors. That's just a fact, okay? And but even the haunts that pay their actors, which are the bigger ones mostly, okay? It's the biggest percentage of our budget, okay? And that's because the number one complaint from customers is we don't have enough actors. So you're trying to get as many as you possibly can. You also have people to run your queue lines or scan your tickets, or you have cops or security. You might have people running a concession stand. You have all kinds of people working all over the place. So the cost, the actual physical cost, labor cost, when you have from say 50 to 200 people working all at the same time, it adds up so fast your head will spin. So if you are an actor in a haunted house and you are getting paid, first off, you're in the minority that you get paid at all, okay? And secondly, everyone knows that you can't make a living being an actor in a haunted house. They do it because they love it, because they like the people they work for. They like being at that particular haunted house. That's like a family to them. Okay, it's extra income for Christmas presents or whatever it is. But mostly it's because they have a passion for it, just like the haunt owner who built the haunt in the first place has a passion for it. That's why they work there. And as labor costs climb and climb and climb, because we've got states that really, let's be honest, are dumb as a box of rocks, because this whole $15 an hour thing, which is like the worst thing I've ever heard of, and I'll tell you why. You got all these people complaining about cost of living going up, and of course they want to say, oh, we can pinpoint this. Trump's got tariffs. Okay, well, guess what? Trump lowered taxes to the lowest rate that America has ever seen. Okay, and he also, starting in 2026, there's no tax on tips. There's no tax on overtime. Okay, there's no tax on Social Security for the elderly. So a lot of taxes has been removed. So even if a tariff is a form of tax, it's not one that you actually have to pay for, because the food that you eat, the rent you pay, the electric you pay, that's all domestic. There's no tariff on any of that stuff. The fuel, there's no tariff on any of that stuff, okay? What there's a tariff on is, let's say, a toaster. You don't have to buy a toaster. Okay, nothing that's tariffed is something you have to have. So that's not what's causing the inflation on the pricing for things like food and so on and so forth. The reason why there's a massive hike in apartments or renting houses or not being able to buy a house has nothing to do with tariffs. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump at all. This goes back to Joe Biden, and actually something that Donald Trump is trying to fix. Okay, you have these companies, these corporations that have gone around and just snatched up buying homes, and because this whole renting homes is such a big thing, They control over 1 million homes. I don't even know what it is. It's some crazy number. It's in the million plus range for homes. Maybe it's 2 million. I don't know. And they bought all these homes. And so now that's caused home prices to be unachievable for many people, because these big companies are going around buying houses and then they're renting them for astronomical amounts of money. So one of the things I guess Trump has proposed is he's trying to get to where they're going to ban companies from being able to buy all these homes, which will take the competitor of these big giant companies away from competing with you to buy your own home. That's just common sense. The other thing is all the domestic stuff that keeps going up. Well, it's tied to labor cost, okay? So as people make more money, the costs go up. McDonald's costs went up. They're paying $15, $16, $17 an hour. I've said this a million times. We would all be better off if everybody made less money, okay? Because, I mean, I'm talking about everybody took a pay cut. And, $10 minimum wage, it would be fantastic. If minimum wage was $10, costs would go down. Because a lot of the things that you buy, well, let's say a person working in a grocery store stocking the shelf, to somebody picking your tomatoes, to, somebody painting houses, it doesn't matter. As minimum wage goes up, then everybody's labor goes up, because nobody, hey, minimum wage now is $15. I'm not going to do this job for $15. I want more. That's why things go up. It's because of labor, the cost of labor. So when you're running a haunted house, your biggest cost right now is labor, especially with labor costs going through the roof. I mean, I can remember when, you could pay, $5 or $7 an hour, and now it's double. It's double. You want more actors than you had then, and the cost doubled. I mean, that's crazy. And this is a major league cost. So can you go on Haunters Hangout and have a discussion of, should we pay our actors? How much should we pay them? I mean, 99% of the comments back to you are going to be from people who are actors. Duh. Okay, and I'm not saying their opinion doesn't matter. I'm just saying, if you're a business owner and you know what you're paying for rent, workers' comp and insurance, liability insurance, and what you're paying for marketing and everything else, they don't understand that. They don't understand that you broke even, you lost money, or you barely made enough to open again the next year. People typically only care about themselves, okay? Hey, I don't get paid enough. I mean, who hasn't heard that already? Okay, everybody thinks they should get paid more money. And by the way, I think you should get paid more money. But for a haunted house, there really is a limit to what can be paid. I literally see as the minimum wage just keeps going up and up and up and up, where haunted houses, even the most successful ones, are going to have to reevaluate. Can we afford this many actors? No, we cannot. We have to cut 20-30% of them. Or maybe we should just go with some sort of incentive program where people volunteer, and if they work every day, they get this or whatever, and this is what people agree to. I don't know. Because the only way you can keep up with labor costs and the costs as they rise is to do one thing: raise the ticket price of a haunted house. Which begs the question, are people willing to pay $35? Are they willing to pay $40? Are they willing to pay $45 or $50 to go into a haunted house that's not a theme park? Because we're facing a real dilemma today. Because these theme parks are going around and they're trying to mimic Universal Studios Horror Nights by licensing things and saying they have, like all these different mazes. We got scare zones, we got shows, we've got this, we've got rides. And so an independent haunted house price is getting close to what they're charging. Think about that. Are people really going to pay to go through a haunted house? where there's no roller coasters and you're literally only $10 cheaper? I don't think so. And so there is, I believe 100% that there is a breaking point, and we're literally standing on it, and we're looking over the edge, and we're like, can we really take one more step? Okay. And if you don't think you could take one more step, then where do you save money? Do you save money by reducing actors? Do you reduce money by trying to go volunteer or some sort of like incentive program? Do you cut marketing? Well, that's stupid, because if you cut marketing, you probably for sure are going to do less people. So where do you cut? One of the things you can cut is how much you spend to renovate your haunted house. There are a lot of ways to cut costs, a lot of ways, okay? But trust me when I tell you, labor is huge. Rent, taxes, insurance, all of these things are real players in how much a haunt makes. That's why, and I'm going to say it because it's true, I've said this before, a lot of haunted house owners are just terrible business people. They literally have no business sense whatsoever. I mean, if I had to grade most of you on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, can we go below 1, or do we have to go between 1 and 10? And I don't mean that as an insult, okay? And I don't mean that for everyone, but a lot of haunters have, people who run haunts have more passion for Halloween than they do remembering that it is actually a business. And a lot of haunted houses have gone out of business. A lot of escape rooms have gone out of business. A lot of restaurants go out of business, okay? But a haunted house, the cost can just run away from you. And one of the things you don't even consider when you're trying to put a haunted house together is like, oh, all of a sudden the fire marshal's got some new rules for you. And by the way, you got to put in this new electric, and you got to put in this, and you put in that. All of a sudden, oh, I didn't even expect this $150,000. And what about when your roof goes bad? And it's like $58,000 to fix a roof, okay? Or pipes break, whatever. All of these things can cost money. And you know what? When you're fixing those problems, your customers don't see those as improvements. They only see what they see inside the attraction. So how much you spend on your haunted house is something you absolutely can control. And when I say haunters are typically bad business people, they literally think with their eyeballs more than their brains. They see a cool prop, they want it, they want to buy it, they have to have it. I don't care how I'm paying for it. Okay, I just have to have it. If you collect horror toys, and there's a lot of people, it's billions of dollars of industry. You go to a horror show, you see it, you go, I just have to have it. Okay? It doesn't matter that if you can afford it or not. You have to have it. Out comes the credit card, where they charge you 30% interest on something that you can't pay back for a year. By the way, speaking of Trump, he's trying to get that passed right now. Believe it or not, he's working with Elizabeth Warren, of all people. They want Congress and the Senate to actually stamp this. They want to put a cap on credit card fees of 10%. Now, this will really help your business because when you use credit cards to open your haunt or buy things, it's a form of credit. And if the interest is capped at 10%, and which they said they're going to do for 12 months, then that helps you. Okay, that helps you, and I hope that goes through. But with that being said, you've got to think of this as a business first, okay? Because you can't do your haunted house the second year if you don't make money the first year. And if you don't make enough money to make it from one Halloween to the next, then where are you? You're going out there paying crazy interest rates to borrow money to reopen your haunt. So always remember that it is a business. And how much you spend on renovating your haunt is going to play a big factor in whether you survive or you sink. Now, I will say, you're going to say, well, Larry, how the hell are you spending 30%? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. So number one, I'm an idiot because I can't help myself. I have the same problem everybody else has. I see something, I say, I got to have that. I don't care where it's going. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care. I just have to have it because it's super cool. And you fall into this trap and you don't even think, I don't need that. You don't even think, I don't really have anywhere to put that. Or, you know what, I didn't even think, like, I would have to, like, literally cut it into small pieces to get it in and re-weld it. You don't even think about it. You just think with your eyes, okay? Because, first and foremost, haunt owners are essentially enthusiasts. They love horror. They love the idea of the creativity of Halloween. That's their dream. Do you know how many people I've talked to who said, my dream was to own and operate a haunted house? You know, without any understanding of dealing with the people, meaning the customers, your employees, and dealing with fire marshals, building inspectors, and everybody in between. That's their dream. Okay. Now, once they do it, they might start learning hard lessons that, wow, this is a lot more work than I thought. That's because it is. Okay. That's why not everybody's doing it, because it's hard. Okay. It's a lot of work. And anybody who opens a haunted house, don't let anybody tell you that you're not entitled to make a profit, because you are. And you should. Okay? Because you never know what's around the next corner. A roof falls in. An unexpected demand from a fire marshal. Some sort of mishap that has to be fixed and repaired. Electrical that just goes out and it's got to be replaced from scratch. You just never know. You just never know. So getting back to me spending 30% and how I'm a lunatic, I don't disagree with you, okay? But let me explain it a little bit, and this is going to help you understand. And I hope that you take what I'm saying serious and consider it. Number one, I am doing these crazy renovations because the haunt industry is coming. So I want to do something that I am hoping you haven't seen done before. And I think I've done that multiple times. But this year I'm really going over the top and trying to do something that I haven't done before, because we're literally programming the scenes. So yes, I think it's going to end up really, really cool. And it's going to be very costly, no doubt. But it's going to be like, I think, like, hey, a farewell, okay, so to speak. And every time I do these haunt tours, it ends up costing me the same, somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000. I know it's totally crazy. But if I sell $100,000 worth of tickets, well, that drops what I'm spending down to 20% if my gross is $1 million. Okay. Now I can tell you another reason why I didn't get by with spending a little bit more than everyone else. Well, that's because we built these escape rooms. And I have to admit, because it's true, that the escape rooms essentially pay to renovate the darkness. They pay to renovate Creepy World because they have income every single month, and the money is being used to get the haunts back open. Now, there is a huge advantage there, because when the haunts would open in the past, I would owe, whether it's credit cards or borrowing money from a bank or whatever, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember one time, one October, I got my American Express bill, and it was like $180,000. I'm not joking. That was all in 1 month. And that's a lot to pay back, okay? Especially back when American Express made you pay the whole amount every month. So yeah, that was a big deal, okay? But, and this is the but, okay? Now when I open, because of the escape rooms, and by the way, I also build mini golfs and laser tags, and that helps pay for it as well. But when I do open the haunted houses now, I every year I open, you have no debt. My credit card is going to be about the same every month, okay? There's not some big giant bill sitting out there waiting to be paid when, hopefully the haunts do okay, so we can start paying the bills. So I kind of like open the haunts now debt free. Whereas in the past, I would borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars to get them all open, or I would rack up credit cards or whatever it was, okay? But now that's not the case. And it's because Blacklight Attractions does well and the escape rooms do well. So if you have other income where you're putting your workers to work, so you're creating a year-round job. Now, the new big thing is these game shows. These things are just taking off, and I'm going to build one, okay? But our escape rooms are still doing great. We're going to add a game room. We've got the mini golf, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is income that comes in year-round. And I've said to haunted house owners many, many, many times, okay, that you should build something with your crew that can be open year-round, so you don't have to rely 100% on the haunted house only. So by having the escape rooms, by having Blacklight Attractions, that helps me be just a little dumber, okay? Just a little dumber, meaning I'm spending more than I absolutely should if I want the haunted house to be percentage-wise profitable enough that it could support me, and my family, and have enough money to open the haunt again the next year. So when you're spending 20 or 30% on renovating your haunt, you're not going to make money. That's just a fact, okay? Unless you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are ruining baseball, by the way, by literally being able to sign every single free agent because they just have more money than anyone else. I mean, they have generated supposedly $1 billion in 2025, whereas like where I'm at, the St. Louis Cardinals, maybe we're at 300 million or something like that. So like maybe about 1/3 of what the Dodgers get. Of course, they're going to outspend everybody. And it's not fair because your team right off the bat probably has no chance. It's just the way it is. So with that being said, when you're thinking about your haunt and you're thinking about, I want to be profitable, you're not going to be spending 30% of your total income on renovation. Okay, I'm getting away with it again because I have an escape room that's helping my addiction, okay? Because that's what it is. It's an addiction. It's helping my addiction, okay? And I'm, kind of like getting away with it a little bit. No, if I had a bunch of partners, I probably would be fired from my role. And it's also because, we're getting some back by doing a haunt tour. But then again, we're spending way too much to be a profitable haunted house. So I go back to that guy who cornered me one time and asked if the haunt owner here was filthy rich and he was just doing this for fun because this haunted house would have no chance of ever making money because too much money has been spent on it, especially in the market that it's in. I totally agree with him. Well, the darkness has become kind of like your art canvas where you just keep wanting to create because that is mentally healthy for you. And it is. But at the same time, it's just not smart. And I know that you're not going to get everything you want off the bat, but your bottom line is going to be healthy and you can keep growing. And remember, if you grow the revenue, in other words, let's say you go from $1 million to $1.1 million and you keep your renovation budget at that certain number, by just adding $100,000 in revenue, you could add maybe $10,000 or $12,000 to improvements. So you got to always think about, like, we want to raise more revenue, Okay? Thereby, you can buy more stuff and get where you want to go quicker. Hopefully, all of this makes sense. Now, I want to say that we are going to be doing a lot of videos. And I want to say that I don't do seminars anymore for anybody, okay? And it's not because I don't like Transworld. It's not because Transworld doesn't ask. Well, they don't ask anymore because Jen said it to me herself. I would love to have you as a speaker, but I know you won't do it. I just don't want to do it anymore. Just like I really don't want to do haunt tours anymore. So it's nothing personal. It's just I don't want to. And I really like talking to people from this medium right here. You know, like making this video, uploading to YouTube. Everybody can see it. Everybody can watch it. And between now and Transworld, which is really far off, it's like, let's see. It's over 2 months. So I guess it's 10, 11 weeks away. I'm going to be making a lot of videos, and specifically to pander for you to buy tickets to our haunt tour. Because if you don't buy tickets to our haunt tour, you know, we can't do the haunt tour, and it's all like one big giant disaster. So I do appreciate people buying the tickets. I appreciate everybody who comes. I appreciate you so much that over the years I've learned that it's more important to me to be here, make sure our haunt is ready to go on time, than it is to wander around the halls of Transworld where there's lots of cool things to see. That's how serious I take it. We will take it very serious this year, and I can promise you that, and I've said this before, of course, but this is definitely going to be the best version of the darkness ever, because there's probably going to be about 7 or 8 different rooms that have been literally programmed to do something, like the whole room, whether it's lighting, sound, special effects, animatronics, all programmed. So when you walk in, a whole interaction goes off. And so we will have multiple rooms like that this year. For people who are thinking about doing that, you'll be able to experience that here. I think the new scene we're building upstairs, people are going to love it. They're going to love how we rethemed the hallway. They're going to love the new stuff that we bought to put in those scenes and what we do to the black hole tunnel, or I call it black hole tunnel. A lot of other people call it vortex. And this Frankenstein scene, I am telling you that I'm going all out to try to do it. And by the way, you can see some of our drawings right here. You can see that we have several, like you can see like the, you know, points to stuff that it tells you what it's supposed to be. You can see we're already doing some measurements. This is going to be the facade as you walk in to the attraction. You know, the other thing that I'm going to try to do too before Transworld is redo the entire fog system so that it actually works better. So last year we did something I called a once in 10-year renovation, and that was like to try to create new revenue sources. We made the gift store bigger. We added the secret bar. Now let me talk about the secret bar for just a second. That generated about $100,000 to the bottom line last year, believe it or not. So it was definitely financially successful. The gift store did about what it did, you know, the year before. Did right around $100,000. Now, I've talked to people who do way more than that, but you know, we're not in a giant market. So yeah, we did about $100,000 with our bar, $100,000 with our store. You know, we have a 5-minute escape, and we sell premium tickets, and you know, and you have all these different things. And so, I mean, with lower attendance, we still have more revenue because the ticket prices have gone up significantly. So it is what it is. But we do appreciate everybody buying the Haunt Tour tickets. You can get the tickets at darkness.fearticket.com. Okay? And I promise you that this Frankenstein scene is going to be the coolest thing we've ever done. You're going to love it. We got a lot of new exciting props coming from Unit 70. The haunt above me is going to be at least twice as good as it was last year. And actually, all of those improvements are almost already done. They'll be done by the end of this week. And we'll be doing nothing but working on that Frankenstein scene. And by the way, we're not stopping there. Once that's done, we're going to have to fix all the animations in the darkness. There's some sound that's not working. There's animations not working. So we have to fix all of that and to get ready for you when you come here on March the 26th, 27th, 28th. Now, I want to say that we're doing 2 days because I want to do this right. It's limited to 500 people for a reason, so that we can put bigger gaps in between each group, because we're hoping that it creates a better experience. It's going to sell out. And I'm telling you, I'm not doing another tour. I mean, I shouldn't even say we're definitely not, because, and then we end up doing it, and then I get called out for it. But I'm like very, 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 very sure. Okay. So we look forward to you coming, and I hope that you appreciate the new scenes we're going to build and the money that we're going to put into it. And that's it. Now, one last thing I want to say is we are going to make a lot of videos going forward. And there's a lot of topics that I'm going to talk about. Like I was saying, that I'm not doing seminars and whatnot. So we can talk about pretty much anything. As I do each video, we will go into the haunt. We'll see the progress made. We'll talk about a subject, and I'll tell you over and over again to go to darkness.fearticket.com and get your tickets, okay? So there's a lot of topics to talk about. So when I make the next video, I'm going to talk about what I think vendors should make for Transworld. The things that I think vendors should focus on for Transworld in 2026. So I'm going to run that down for you and tell you what I think vendors should make for haunts. What do they want to buy? That's what I'm going to talk about in the next video, while I also show you progress that's been made here at the Darkness. So with all that being said, thanks for watching the video. We are going to have some other videos here and there. I did not make it to the Halloween party show because I got back from Europe. I was just too worn out. People are trying to get me to go to the Eastern Haunt Convention, and I got to see what haunts are opening, because maybe I'll go and make videos with those owners, because I like doing that. I hope it helps people. So, but we'll see. We'll see. So with all that being said, thanks for watching this video. I know it was long, but promise you, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be showing you step by step everything we do right here at the Darkness as we get it ready for Transworld 2026. And we're going to be opening for Valentine's on Friday the 13th. So I can assure you this, the goal is to have the majority of it done by November the 13th. It's not going to be done by November the 13th, but a lot of it is. So we'll see how far we get between now and November the 13th. We'll make a lot of videos. And if there's a certain subject or topic you would like to talk about, leave it in the comments. Let me know, and we'll talk about it for a whole video, like doing a seminar. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you maybe even tomorrow.